All right. Hi, guys. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another fun evening. Fun
Sorry.
evening of Level Up Geek Nights. Woo! Say hi, guys.
Hello, hello.
So it's just the boys this evening. The boys. The boys
The
are back.
boys.
The boys are back, and of course we have our resident COO, John
Sup?
G,
Hello.
and of course we have our dwarf. Our dwarven friend from the Geeks, Vince. Hi, Vince.
Our dwarf friend. I like
Am
Of
I
that.
course,
doing this right?
yes.
Okay, I'm
All
just
I can see
checking.
is your fingers touching someone's beard.
He's touching
Thorin's beard.
Thorin's beard.
To be fair, it's a very good beard.
And I'm John B. So we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic tonight. And it is our hot take on the Philippine convention scene. Woo!
That's why I'm like this. I'm smiling, but in deep inside, I'm in danger.
Nah, you're not in danger. There were a couple of other people we thought to invite, and if they were here, they would be in danger.
Yes. So
So we decided not to invite them.
since we're really not afraid of being canceled, whoa.
Wow!
Whoa! I would prefer not to go through that stress.
Right,
That
right out
said,
of the gate. My gosh. Walang preno, sir. Walang preno. Teka lang. Chill.
yeah,
We,
walang
we
pera.
don't we don't do
He's a
that
viper.
here.
Vince,
He's a
ginagaya
viper.
ko lang naman yung attitude ng mga convention organizers eh.
Oh.
Oh, that's terrible. Okay, we don't do that here.
Oh.
Anyway,
We
so ano nga
want
ba?
we speak with grace, guys. Speak with grace.
So ano nga ba gagawin natin? John?
Nasabi ko na ito lang sa video. Ito lang.
Dude.
Dude.
So John
Dude.
B, what are we actually going to be talking about?
Okay, so we are actually going to be talking about the Philippine convention scenes. So the three of us here, okay, to be fair, none of us are professional events organizers, particularly.
Hindi, joke lang.
No, you are, well, okay. You have worked on the organizing side, yes. I am like, we are not. Okay, maybe that statement was not correct. Actually, come to think of it.
I
So,
have been part of
but yes.
organizing events too. So
Yeah, that's why I had to backtrack my statement. Fortunately, it's a statement I can backtrack safely. Right?
Unlike
I can
some
say like,
statements.
hold on, yeah, unlike some statements, that's a different topic altogether. But the point is, yeah, that was a completely wrong statement earlier. I have to say that because we have actually been exposed to events organizing as a business in the business side, not just as attendees. So
Yeah, but organizer also as organizers, remember?
as organizers, right? We actually have, come to think of it, a little bit of
Yeah.
experience. Okay. Which actually makes us more qualified. No, just kidding. I don't know. But
Guys, John.
slightly more qualified and aware of things than your regular con goer. Anyway, our topic for tonight is the Philippine convention scene. So
I-share na lang sa friend natin na organizer din. I just realized.
we have a lot of friends who are organizers, actually.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of friends who are organizers. We have participated as organizers in different degrees and in different roles, in different events. Usually very much in the background, which is why you don't have our names posted everywhere when something goes wrong. Lol.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think I think many of us we have been involved in one way or another in the convention circuit. And when we say convention circuit,
Conven-
paano ba natin i-define yung convention circuit? We're talking about geek conventions. We're talking about cosplay
Yep.
conventions, anime conventions, gaming conventions, and I think
Toy conventions,
ako personally I've
comic
been
conventions, art
yeah.
conventions.
If
What else?
you're gonna say e-games conventions, I'm gonna slap you
Gaming
guys.
conventions, yeah.
Iba yun.
No. That's how the old people call it, e-game conventions. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Well,
I digress.
esports conventions. To be fair, that is probably the youngest among the geek conventions currently active in esports related. But for that, definitely you have had some experience in the background. So, having said all this, how do we get started? Actually, like, how do we dive into this?
I think it's really it's really a question of
What
para
is
sa
the Philippine convention scene? No, no, I'm not
Hindi,
gonna.
alam nyo, gusto nyo ba mag-start tayo with the basis ng mga one of the more recent conventions that
Yeah.
people say, hindi, kasi when people say conventions kasi, they always praise American conventions. Can we just focus on one, the most recent American big convention, and then
Right.
start it
So
from there?
there has been a big American convention recently. I think that's AnimeCon, right?
Anime
So
Expo.
yeah, Anime Expo. So Anime Expo. Let's dig into this. So I mean, so what we're establishing here is that okay, talking about Philippine convention scene, international convention scene, and just what is a good convention anyway? I guess maybe that's the thing, which is what we
Pwede ba
all want, right?
natin,
Basically, yun eh. What's our convention scene and what is a
pwede
good
ba natin
convention?
Puwede ba natin ipakita yung kasi puwede ba natin ipakita yung video nung Anime Expo? Kasi whenever I hear about conventions, usually lalo na't sa mga attendees, laging kino-compare na, no, it's a local convention, it's not as good as American conventions, eh, or international conventions. So, I think puwede pa na mag-set ng bar na ito yung how bad an American convention can be. This is on top of the other ones that I've heard before,
Yeah.
ito yung most recent, eh. Can we show the video?
Yeah, we can. If you have the video link, you can click on the
Yeah, I could. Yeah, I
you can
could.
play the
Wait,
watch
Okay.
party.
So while Vince and John or Vince digs that up, what we're trying to establish here is this: just because international scene or international foreign convention, let's not be colonial mentality, guys.
Na mas
They
maganda.
also have
bad
big
conventions.
bad conventions. They also have bad conventions. They also have conventions where the what's the term? Yung na pumapasok sa utak ko is con-goer. But what's the right term? Attendee or customers yung term sa utak ko eh. Because I'm so business end, right? But
Where do I put it pala, the link?
Is it a YouTube video?
Na TikTok video. It's a TikTok video.
TikTok video. Because we're Gen Z hip. Joke. I don't know.
I-PM mo sa akin.
For real.
And
For
I
real.
sent it. Okay.
I can't open it in Discord eh. So our
Ano
window will be
nga ba ulit yung ano mo? Pangalan mo sa
Messenger. Wow.
I feel like I have frozen, guys. Am I still here?
Yes, you're still
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
but
yeah.
your video has frozen.
Oh, that's terrible. Wait, I might need to reset my cam.
Ayan, PM send. Wait, teka lang. Oh no! Sayang, i-screenshot ko sana.
Maganda pa naman pagka-freeze niya.
Kaya nga, magandang pagka-screenshot eh.
Have I done?
No, you're just two squares dancing. Speaking of dancing, guys, have you started playing Harry Potter Hogwarts Awakened?
For the dancing classes,
You're not loading, you're just two squares.
I'm too square to load. I don't know, man. My camera is just dead. I'm sorry. Wait, hold on.
You're now
What am I-
appearing
You're
again.
not dead.
It's
But you're not
Oh, there we
dead.
go.
there we go.
There we go.
But you're not dead in Jesus.
Oh no, I am eternal in Jesus. Woo! Okay. So,
I sent the link to JB.
I'm trying to see if I can play it. Wait lang.
okay.
Go
Kasi
lang.
kung I'm just gonna share
But
it.
I think one of the things that we need to discuss is siguro para sa atin, what is actually a convention? Ano ba yung what are expectations or why do we do conventions in the first
O
place?
nga
Ganun yung
pala.
tanong ko,
Wait.
eh.
Before we
Alright.
continue pala with the convention, sorry. May alam ko, i-discuss natin mamaya. Apparently, it's not a convention. It's a festival.
Oh.
It's a festival.
Okay.
May different, there's a difference actually, John.
Yeah,
It was
that's
explained to
Okay.
me.
Fine. Go for it. Go
Pero
for it.
mamaya na natin. Kailangan muna natin ipakita tong Anicon kasi people have been comparing local events
Anime
and
Expo.
international ones.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they use exactly the same words. Is it a
Yeah.
scam?
Oops.
Yeah.
Let's show some clips.
Let's
Some
show
clips.
Krish. Show Krish.
Let's
Alam
show
ko paano
some
siya
clips.
i-play. Wait lang.
Krish. Shawshank Redemption.
I have not been able to move at this event.
This is not even line con.
This is just sardine con.
Wait, sorry
Amelia, you
guys.
having fun?
It's playing and I don't know why I can't turn off the
Bro,
sound.
we can't even move.
Or pwede ko nilang i-share sa Discord na ano.
Sige. Sige. Ikaw na lang. Share mo sa Discord.
I am a dwarf and I'm digging a hole, digging a hole.
Weird.
So
Hindi
this
naman tayo
It
one
seemed
ma-
like it was completely
falls
Yeah,
into
oversold.
a certain genre of music
Felt
recently.
primed for a
It's
tragedy.
It's
I love
power
it.
rock.
Power rock.
Nagme-play yung audio pero hindi ko ma-display. Sorry.
Yeah, sige, ito na.
Ayan. I
Alright.
will click on the watch stream. Go play
This
it. Ayan.
is the event, guys. This is the event. Well, also, pa-follow tayo rin pala sa TikTok. So, it's the Geeks by _ Thank you. Love you guys. So, this is the event. This is Anime Expo 2023. It's a nightmare. Sounds family. Let's play.
It sounds familiar.
Sounds family.
Walang audio, bro. Ay, wait. Ako yung may problema. Sorry.
Ano?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay na? We did it?
Yes.
From the top. From the top.
Wow,
This
look
is
at all that
insane.
people. And look at all those people crowded on the stairs. That looks familiar. Look at those overloaded escalators.
Have not been able
Family.
to move at this event.
This is not
Very
even line
familiar.
con.
At
This
least
is
they're
just
inside, though,
Sardine
right?
con.
You know, air
Amelia, you having
conditioning,
fun?
sort of. People
Bro,
stuck
can't
in.
even
Bakit
move.
parang Pinoy?
Are you having fun though?
You're having fun now. Look at all that Demon Slayer stuff. Look at those
What?
booth tables.
Bakit parang
I love the
Background
background
sound.
sound.
Almost seemed like it was completely oversold.
I want my 200 back.
It did not feel safe
Oh.
at all. Felt primed for a tragedy. I love the show.
Nice shirt,
and it's
though.
really disappointing.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah. Sounds family.
Sounds familiar.
Sounds
Alright,
family.
So in short, there are bad experiences that happen internationally as well. So we shouldn't just say, "Oh, it's an international convention or festival, whatever." It's great. It's like, nope, there are bad ones a lot too. All
Now
right.
we're moving since we've already started with that. Let's go. let's first focus on the bigger. Ano ba yung tamang term? The event that's been talked about, maligned, and retarded the branding.
Yeah, because it's so old. It had to retire.
Yeah.
Conquest 2023.
Conquest. Beyond. Ay, hindi, sorry, that's what Cyber Games.
which is no doubt gonna appear in masteral business degrees as a case study on how
How
not,
not to do
to
an
run
event.
an event. Right. Yeah, because like there's a reason we go, right?
Yeah, because my life's boring. Ay. Oh wait, it's work. Oh wait, sorry.
No,
Anyway, so why do we go to cons? For me,
Why do we go to
it's
cons?
work. It's work for me. But at the same time, syempre, I want to, ano ba?
I want to
Bakit
see
nga ba ako
people.
I want to be where the people are.
I want to be where the people are, man.
I want to see cosplays. As in, yung pinakaunang, ano ba?
That's true. That's true. I want to see.
Ano yung pinakaunang
best?
convention natin? Ano?
2001 pa ata yun.
Hindi, inisip ko nga kung ano
Okay, wait.
Yung
pinakaunang
anime
When you say
convention.
what was our first convention as friends or as a just us?
Hindi, as a person.
As a person.
Okay,
We're still persons now. But,
it was probably like ToyCon
For you?
or Ozine, something like that. Something that's in the first. Ganito na lang, just to put a date to how I started. Yung con na super sariling tahi pa lang yung mga gamit ni Alodia.
Ano pa yun?
so hindi pa siya.
Cosplay mania pa ata yun.
She was still a priestess. Wala pang high priestess. Priestess
Nala ko
lang.
yung...
So,
Hindi ba yun yung ano,
that's like,
FF10?
I don't know.
Hindi pa siya salamat doctor noon. Okay, got
Hindi ba yun
gotcha.
yung ano? FF10 na... Wow! Wow!
Salamat,
Wow!
doctor. Ano
I
ba
did
yan?
not
Ay,
go there. You
dude.
actually went there. Dude!
That's not our topic.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Kasi ito the shows kasi
In case we pop off on your feed, I don't know if I should apologize for Vince, but whatever. You know who you are.
But,
yeah.
I think,
Lap.
basta, it was one of those end-of-year conventions. I can't remember if it was ToyCon or Cosplay Mania
Yeah.
na.
Ano guys, meron pang Hero TV Con.
Yes,
Bago
I
nag-start
remember
lahat,
Hero
it's the
TV
Hero
Con.
TV
Yes,
also
I
remember
remember
it.
Hero TV Con. But the first convention that's, what do you call this, na talagang na recorded, na mga pinupuntahan dito, at least here in the Philippines, so around either 1999 or 2001. It's thereabouts.
Mhm.
Ako personally, I got into the convention scene around 2004, 2005. And ako personally, the reason why I attended conventions was not the cosplay. It was more of, there's an anime event. They're going to showcase different booths about different anime. So parang that's a place I want to go kasi parang
You can buy stuff.
I can buy stuff. I can talk to people who are of the same
Geeky inclination.
interests. And I think kasi as a young man, growing up, as a young man growing up, parang I didn't have a lot of people that I could talk to about na anime related. No?
Right.
So, remember, hindi pa kasi, di ba, anime wasn't mainstream yet. Kaya kadiri na nga ngayon mainstream. Joke lang.
Well, I wouldn't say it's super mainstream, but it's semi-mainstream.
Naisip ko yung pinaka-unang convention ko, hindi yung hindi siya yung sa UP eh.
Yung Ame?
UP Ame was nice.
Hindi Ame. Alam ko si Ame pumunta na ako before. Pero I think ang nangyari was
I remember when it was still in
convention. Well, hindi siya convention was in UST. Pero hindi rin yun eh. Hindi ko matandaan. Basta ang alam ko, pinakaunang convention ko was when I met people from Gaia Online. Wow, my gosh.
It's still alive, you know.
Gaia Online. So
It's still
yeah,
technically alive.
I know.
it's technically alive. Yeah, I think that was the first convention I went to. Tapos yung talagang yeah, I think that was it.
I can't
Kaya-
recall which my first one was.
Kaya
But
nga
the first
sinabi ko
one I
salamat
attended
doktor
UP
kasi
is
it shows lang yung age kasi ganun katagal yung difference nung ano mo yun. I'm not gonna say the person again pero yun yung time frame difference.
Let's put it this way. 20 years of Philippine convention experience. So we've seen the convention experience when it started, when it was like in smaller
Yeah.
venues.
Yung Silver
Sorry,
City pa
sobrang
si
tito
Hero
ako,
TV.
may big
Tapos
Diba?
madalas ang
Si,
ang Cosplay Mania and Toy-Con mas madalas
wala
Mega
pa,
Mall, Mega Trade.
wa-
Yep.
wala pa si Cosplay Mania tsaka si Ozzy noon. Si Hero TV pa yung isa sa pinakauna, tapos
Yeah.
nag-spin off sila doon. And Silver City pa noon si Hero Con.
Basta
Oh,
yung ticket prices were either free or 50 pesos pa noon.
Ah.
So the ticket prices now are like what?
500 to 800.
And then
Pero
you have
kasi,
VIP tickets and whatnot.
since we're talking about this na rin, lagyan na natin yung difference ng ano yung convention at ano yung festival. Pero I want to tackle that later.
Sure.
Talk about
Yeah, let's be a little bit systematic. Okay, sir, explain to us the difference between a convention and a festival.
Teka.
Kasi professional tayo, di ba?
Wow.
Convention
professional
and festival. Teka lang
So what are the
ano kasi,
conventions on convention?
yung difference, di ba kasi, mag-name drop na tayo since we're already here. Si
Yeah, sure.
Conquest, is sa pinaka-famous na mga recent events, is not a convention. But in fact, it's a festival. Kaya notice
Okay.
na yung notice na yung convention kasi is more of yung mga ano ba 'to? Teka, hanapin natin yung terms. Kasi it's not a thematic theme. Kasi 'di ba si Conquest, ever since its first inception, it's a celebration of events. It's a celebration event of its community. Before people forget, before it became the big thing, before it became the Titanic of events, si Conquest Festival is supposed to be a celebration of the younger generation.
Okay.
You have to remember that Conquest is organized by people from Akad Arena who are focused on students. They've had a lot of events where they help out students. So,
Yeah.
kung notice, 'di ba, yung this year nag-focus sa content creators. Last year, content creators and the Web3 space. Yung una is festival, concerts, and yun, getting together, have fun, may sumakantahan, whatever. 'Di ba? So, yun ang festival. 'Di ba? Sino to yung isa bang infamous na kung si Conquest is the Titanic of events in the Philippines, yung Hindenburg naman would be si sino man?
Oh, Firefest.
Something Firefest.
That
So
was
it's a
even
festival din. That's even worse. So the convention naman daw, it's a different thing na it's a gathering where brands showcasing stuff. Yung focus doon is para siyang trade show. Yun yung difference. Mas trade showy type si convention compared to festival.
So I'm just to be, since we are actually getting to technical terms, apparently there's a huge overlap in the two terms.
Yeah.
But I would say not all conventions are festivals, but actually all festivals are conventions. Because conventions are gatherings of people. But festivals are more celebratory and have a theme.
Yeah.
So festivals are, I guess, festivals are still conventions. It's just that you have business conventions, and those are, of course, not so celebratory. Those are work.
Yun yung trade talaga. Yun yung
Yeah,
trade
those are
shows
trade conventions. But the funny thing is, actually, your geek conventions or your geek festivals, as most geeky conventions are actually festivals because you're celebrating something. They actually still have elements of your trade fests because you do buy and sell there. It's just that the things you're buying and selling are usually small business, micro business, personal stuff, as opposed to like corporate things. But yes, agreed. Okay, yes, it is a festival because it is the celebration of a certain community which is not so mainstream. It's not so like it's more specific.
Yeah, kaya nga there's a difference between cosplay convention and festival, youth festival.
That's
Diba?
true. Although I would say that a cosplay convention is actually kind of like a cosplay festival.
It's a cosplay festival if
Actually, also. So, but anyway, splitting hairs aside,
Let me just jump in. Kasi,
sure.
I tried to remember, looked up the history of conventions in the Philippines. So, I actually landed on a page where it kind of briefly talks about it.
Questor?
So, yung unang the first daw na anime event talaga, it was Anime Explosion the year 2000. Wow.
Oh my gosh, Anime Explosion!
Oh, I remember that term.
Oh my god!
Right. So, it was actually the
Okay.
first one that's na parang recognized na anime event or anime convention.
That's a thing, man.
Prior to
That's
that, there was like a the Gathering na event, and then there was like
Eh,
collectible.
hindi naman siya,
Pero hindi pa talaga
siya
sa
counted
convention. Parang ano lang siya, parang mini event pa lang. So, Anime Explosion was the
Mm.
first one. Tapos sinundan daw siya ng Art Farm Asia, which eventually became Cosplay Mania, and AXN Cosplay. AXN Cosplay in 2001.
Yeah, when AXN was still doing stuff. Yes.
Yes. And then there were other anime conventions. And this one I specifically remember, C3Con. So, sobrang
Oh shoot! I actually remember that name.
right? So, ang daming mga so a lot of the early cosplay events started talaga 2000, 2001. Yung
nakita ko na yung sinasabi mong nakita ko na yung sinasabi mong article.
Yung AXN cosplay brought Yuwatase here in the Philippines.
Yeah, that's true. I remember that.
Dang, that's a big one.
Yeah, and
Like
diba?
nowadays, that's such a huge thing. That would be huge. That would be a
Right,
huge
right.
impact.
And the event actually has pictures of mga old time cosplayers, GM Chua, and a friend of
Oh
ours,
my
John,
God,
si
si
Hazel.
JM.
Oh, I remember his Saito thing. That was
Cosplay,
really good.
right?
That was
Tapos
really good.
si Hazel is also on this page. Our friend.
Oh, Hazel. Okay, I don't know if you'll ever see this, Hazel, but she's actually still active in all the convention scenes as a
Shirt seller.
business
merch
owner. As
seller,
a
yeah.
business owner, I believe. Yes, together with her husband.
Pero na-notice ko this page conveniently left out Alodia.
Oh, well, I mean,
Nasa
okay,
early-
she doesn't need any extra stuff. I mean, you gotta give it her. She's got her own stuff.
Sumikat si Alodia ng 2004, 2005.
Sumikat siya dahil sa what do you call this? Sa ano yun yung ni IXN, yung anime channel?
Yeah, and ang
Well,
cosplay
yeah.
that people were both ragging on her and
And then, the
praising
thing
her
that
what's the
catapulted
Final
her,
Fantasy X cosplay.
yeah, the thing that catapulted her to mainstream was the Levi's competition ni that channel. Ni AXN. Nagkaroon na Levi's jeans, pants competition noon. And ang
Okay.
claim to fame niya noon was she was a cosplayer. Yun yung nagpapel sa kanya sa mainstream eyes.
Okay, sure.
Kasi she was fighting against models eh.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
I think that a lot of people did not like her at the time. She had a lot of likes, fans rather. But a lot
Yeah,
of
of
people
course.
also didn't like her because she was monetizing cosplay. And at the time, parang, cosplay is a pure art form. It shouldn't be monetized.
Ay,
You
naku, oh
shouldn't
my
earn
gosh.
from it. You shouldn't. Meanwhile, today, hello business.
Hindi, tsaka tatandaan mo,
Right?
di ba, yung issue of licensing of using characters
Yeah,
for earning.
Meanwhile,
but-
meanwhile, I gotta say, okay, we're segueing a bit, but I just gotta say, the current generation, I'm not gonna say Gen Z because I don't know where it is at anymore at this point, are like, oh, I can't cosplay kasi walang sponsor ng outfit ko. I'm like,
Kailangan may mag-sponsor ng
okay.
mo.
But I mean, not everyone does that. I know there's a lot who still craft and sariling sikap. I know. And they actually have money. But the point is, like the fact that that's something that a regular cosplayer can say is like, you know, that everything has changed. A lot of stuff
Yeah.
has changed since those early days,
Yeah, since
including
the early days of
convention.
conventions, guys. The early days of conventions. To redirect the discussion.
Yeah, that's like, you know, to tai chi it back into our main topic.
So Kyle is asking in the chat, what are we talking about? We're talking about convention scenes here in the
In
Philippines
the
and
Philippines.
how it's
Yeah.
actually being done, how it's being managed. So going
Yeah,
back,
and
I think
we sidetracked ourselves
I
into
admit.
people.
But to go back to the discussion on
Oh
on,
my goodness, para
on
tayong mga
conventions and
matatanda.
festivals, I think I was excited for Conquest. Honestly,
Yep.
we even wanted to have a booth in Conquest.
Yep.
And even though the price of the booth was ridiculous, we were ready to bite the bullet.
Well, I can't say it was ridiculous.
Hindi
But
naman
the
ridiculous,
price
but
of booths.
it was higher than most other events.
Well,
It's
they were,
higher.
as I was told,
It's
international rates.
yeah, international rates kasi ni Conquest. Yun yung that's the reason why they're that expensive.
Yep.
So people were also expecting international levels of organization.
Yes, and I think
I
that's
actually to be honest, guys,
breaking it down, Conquest, in terms of the activities, in terms of the setup, the presentation, the marketing, the actual guests invited, the actual program was international,
yeah.
world level. It was world.
Wait.
It was world. It was. Yeah. Let's use a term. Let's give it that. It was world class.
Yeah, I think
Unfortunately,
go.
a lot of the other components were not, and that causes a huge rift in the difference between, like, you have these people, you have these activities and events which are really very attractive, and it drew so many people in
Yeah.
that your organizational and logistical infrastructure could not handle.
I think one of the things.
Yun lang yun.
Oh, nawala yung camera mo, bro.
Oh no, Vince.
Yeah, wait lang. It's okay.
So while you
I just want to say lang that while you two were excited for Conquest, I wasn't. I was not. Because hindi nga
Oh,
ako
I know.
nagka-press media eh. I didn't apply as media for Conquest, to be honest. I was only there because of actual day job work. And
Yep.
we were required to go there.
Mhm.
So parang, kasi it's too many people.
Yeah,
I
which is the thing. It's too many. It's a very interesting situation. It's like, it's too many people, but then the thing is, you also kind of want people, but
this is my here's the thing. So I was excited. It was a big festival. As you mentioned, it is a festival, and the way that they designed it is festival-like, because rather than subjecting it to one location, you actually had multiple locations. And usually, when you say festival, you're talking about having parades, you having or special events that make it like it's like a fiesta style. In
And they actually had.
Yeah.
They actually
did.
had nung day one.
exactly, which is
So-
why I said, like, in terms of activities and program,
In terms of the program, definitely
it was-
it's world class. I mean, I was looking at the guests, and there were guests that I said, oh no, I want to be there. Except that I feel like there was just going to be too many people.
Yes.
And alam mo naman si Tito, getting old.
I mean, even if the people I want to see came to Conquest, like si Yvonne tsaka si Michael Reeves.
Yep.
I didn't want to go because I know there were too many people.
Yeah, so
That's the thing. Too many people.
So,
Okay,
but
let's-
here's the thing. I think that in terms of organizing the program, there's no problem. But I think
It was the logistical nightmare kasi.
I think number one, they did not have a backup plan. As an event organizer, especially when it comes to logistics and to moving people, people movement, you always have to have a backup plan. They did not. Obviously, they did not. because
Yeah.
whatever happened.
Something also for that. Something okay.
Like for example, what do you do when you have this much number of people in a crowd? How do you get them to the event? How do you make sure that they still enjoy themselves?
I'm
And
sorry, but I disagree with that they didn't have a backup plan.
but based on
I would
sorry,
Pero tuloy mo lang, JP.
finish your
I'll answer
thought,
you
Vince
after
will
this.
comment, and then I'll take the next after Vince.
Yeah.
so
So ikot tayo.
I feel like they weren't prepared for it. They didn't know what to do when things happen a certain way. And there should always be some sort of plan to mitigate that. The fact that they overestimated the amount, and let's fine. I will agree that part of that is not their fault. They were not aware of the actual numbers that could occupy the event spaces. But at the same time, I'm like, that's why you had pre-selling, right? So that's why after a certain number of some certain number of tickets sold, you stop selling because people wouldn't be able to attend anymore, and they still went over capacity. So there are a lot of definitely there are a lot of factors, and I think it's a combination of trying to get to do something so big all at once without having the proper preparation for it, because they did do well in the previous year, based on what I've heard, but the scale that they did from previous year to this year is like boom, so big. Did they actually have the capacity to handle the logistical nightmare for that?
Okay.
All right,
We're done, JP.
Vince. This Vince.
As the person who actually went there, I would say that they had backup plans. The problem was
Yes.
they didn't have proper people to handle the event. Most of the staff that they got are student volunteers. And
Because
you
they're
don't
cheap.
No. It's not just about being cheap.
It's not about
It's
being
more
But
no,
they
no,
are.
it's not about being cheap lang. Kasi
Okay.
Akad Arena is a student org.
Well, that's
Is
true.
a
It's after
focused
students.
student focused org.
I would throw it as inexperience.
Okay.
Yeah. On that end kasi, you don't ito na rin, narinig ko na rin to and I've experienced it myself.
Okay.
You don't bring in student volunteers for big events like this. Or if you have one, you need someone who is experienced in handling events on top of them.
So, in other words, the student volunteers are kind of like just additional padding.
Parang
You need a
parang siyang-
backbone.
Yeah,
You need a
parang
strong
siyang breakwater mo. To put it in an illusion, there's supposed to be your breakwater from the waves of people coming in. The problem was, hindi nangyari. And they didn't have a solid support. This is based on what I've heard. I can neither confirm nor deny the people who I heard him from, pero this is what I've heard. Na they didn't have a solid backbone for the skeleton for the volunteers. Tapos nag-implode pa dahil may mga issues na nangyari. I can't say it, and the issues that I've known, I can't say it on stream, but ang lala nung issues na yun. It's internal. This is on top of the public shaming na ginawa ni sa mga co-founders. But that's later on. Nagkaroon ng sobrang lalang implosion internally na nag-collapse yung structure nila. And they didn't have enough people. Also at the same time, they didn't have enough experienced people in handling big events like this. That's why it collapsed the way it is.
Yeah.
So
Actually,
yun.
sige.
They had plans, hindi nila na-execute. Or kung na-execute man nila, kulang-kulang. Yun yung sa akin.
That I agree with the manpower thing, kasi if you're saying that they hired a lot of, or they use a lot of students or student volunteers, but they don't necessarily have the experience to what do I do in this kind of situation, then talagang mangyayari yun.
Yeah, John, you're raising your hand.
No, okay. So I'm gonna come in as a slightly different angle. First off, like I've attended a lot of conventions, not fan fest conventions, but a lot in
Yeah.
general.
And also on other countries
Yeah,
then.
in
You have
other
to emphasize
definitely in
that.
other countries. So I've gone to places which have had foot traffics. Business conventions tend to have higher foot traffics in this because there's just a lot of business to be done. So you literally have up to 100,000 and up people. There are differences because in business, when you get in, you do your stuff, you don't stay for too long, you move along.
Yeah. You get
Dito kasi,
freebies.
you go in and you stay. But ironically speaking, you actually have more professional, well, maybe not ironically, it makes more sense. In business conventions, you have such huge manpower deployment versus this, which is like swarm of people, and then you actually don't have the professional manpower deployment. Like, honestly, for something like this, I would have expected yung tipong you guys have like what do you call those things? You see it in concerts, right?
Bouncers?
Yeah, bouncers. Sorry.
They had bouncers. They
You
had
couldn't, but
bouncers.
you didn't see them. They were like spread.
No, 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 no.
They were spread too thin. I think. Basically, no. The point is the logistics were
They,
spread too thin.
they were not directed properly.
Yun pa.
Kasi it came to a point where people who are actual vendors can't even get into the venue.
Yes, I heard about that as well. Some
Yeah.
friends of mine were vendors. A lot of my friends were vendors. They had varying experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but the main point I'm trying to drive at here is that, sige, business cons, geek cons, a quick search will tell you that they sold 70,000, upwards of some 70 something thousand odd tickets, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's hardly even the biggest in the world. We've gone to a convention, me and John. We've gone to AFA, and that has had about a roughly over a 3-day period.
AFA.
AFA, so Anime
Yeah, I know.
Festival
AFA.
Asia. Just
AFA.
just for in case people didn't know the term. And that goes for like what? I think also around 70 to more, 70 plus thousand then.
Mm-hmm.
And then the largest conventions in the world, let's say quick search San Diego Comic Con is
Hindi
upwards of
naman SDCC eh.
100,000. Yeah, I'm just giving some
Yeah.
easy
Okay,
to
but I
know.
mean, di ba si ano rin? Si
Tokyo
what's
Game
his face
Show.
yung Yeah.
Tokyo Game Show is 200,000. 200,000. Taipei Game Show is 300,000. Comiket in Japan is 500,000. Over a period of 4 or 5 days. So the point is, you can run conventions of that size, and they've continued for year on year, which means they weren't total disasters. They can be tiring, they can be a bit stressful, but they're not total disasters, unlike what happened. They had to retire Conquest. So you can have conventions of that size. The question is, what are the elements that you need? And then John mentioned something earlier that they did not, or they were not aware of the capacity of the location or the venue.
Yeah, I think what I heard was that
Yeah.
SM gave them the regular
A
capacity,
maximum.
the maximum
Yeah.
capacity of the event halls.
Yes.
And apparently what SM provided them is not the maximum capacity, but rather the number of tickets they sell because they overbook their events. I think that's a regular thing done by most companies.
SM.
They
Yeah.
SM that tends to do that because there's usually a 20% fallout.
Yeah. Okay.
So which is not something that you would expect for an event as big as Conquest, because usually with those who buy tickets, they will go. Right? If you're buying tickets beforehand, they will go. Kasi for most con goers,
but in
sayang
either
kasi.
case, true. But in either case, the numbers we heard was much far. It's a lot farther from 70,000 than we expected. So even with the 20% drop off, whatever, it's just a severe case of overbooking. So there was a lot of errors here, right? Overbooking, and not just Conquest, but as we can see in some other venues, like the one we just showed earlier, Anime Expo.
Anime
Anime
Expo
Expo
2023.
seems to have also done the same. They overbooked too many people. So it's this thing about crowds. Like, how do you deal with this? How can that be dealt with?
I think
Hindi
number
siya
one,
madaling sagutin eh.
hindi siya madaling sagutin. But
Hindi
I
siya
think
madaling...
Exactly. But that's the big question. So you want to have a good festival, a good convention experience. What makes for a good convention experience? Let's break
Ano
that
lang yan
down.
eh.
I think
Kasi,
yeah, go on.
Yeah, let's go backwards. Si Vince and then John.
yeah. Sa ngayon, I think it's the venue. One of the bigger issues kasi, and what I've experienced and seen, people love doing conventions in SMX. And I understand naman why. Para lang maset natin yung mga people who don't understand, bakit lagi nilang SMX? Kasi SMX is the hub, it's the transportation hub of a lot of areas. It's the easiest to access, easiest to get to, and supposed to be easiest to get out of. Kasi nandun yung, they have buses, you have jeeps, you have taxi stands, you have everything basically.
Yeah, you
But
have the
kasi
MRT station not too far
the
away.
MRT that you could jeep to or whatever.
Commute to. Short
Commute to. Yun yung, I think, the biggest ano. But for me, I think it's always yung venue, ano lang yan eh. For me, tatlong pillars. For me, tatlong pillars. Venue, venue staff program. Venue staff program. Yun lang yun. Venue, you need to have a venue that's big enough to house whatever, whoever. Staff, you have a solid experienced staff that can handle pressure when people are starting to shout on their faces. Third, yung program, which is, yun yung medyo madaming sumasablay na ibang ano, the program itself should be interesting enough for people to go to. And I think yun yung we have to fix. But also at the same time, we have to also consider that when we're looking at conventions and events. Kasi for
Okay.
example, si Asia Pop Comic Con,
APCC, yes.
APCC,
They had all three.
they had all three. Nagkaroon na ng problem kasi sila yung pinakaunang convention that jumped over the 500 peso ticket.
Yep.
Diba? They dared
to go to 800 pesos.
No, they dared to go to 550 for a single day. Single day lang yun, 550. Tapos nagtaas. If you're going to buy 2-day pass, 3-day pass. This is on
Yep.
top of the convention experience with if you meet and greet people.
Yep.
Actually, one of the reasons why nawala si APCC nalugi sila, but that's a different thing. They had that. Ang pinakaunang APCC was ano, diba? I
World
think it was
Trade.
at World Trade.
Actually, all the APCCs were at World Trade.
Oh, diba?
All of them are in World Trade. And actually, in terms of granted, medyo mas mahirap puntahan ng World Trade Center kaysa sa ano.
It is
Sa
World Trade Center is much more difficult to get to unless you have a car,
Yeah.
and it's hard to commute to. Actually, it's challenging to commute to. But once you're there,
It's actually a
it
very
does have
convenient location.
it has the best traffic capacity.
Yeah.
Pero actually,
Traffic capacity.
it's not as accessible as SMX, but it's not actually that difficult to get to. The buses actually nag-terminal sila dyan in that area nearby. So parang
Yeah,
super walking distance. And in fact, the buses that come from Buendia, umiikot sila dyan. They actually U-turn in that area. So sobrang daling, actually, if you think about it, madali siyang puntahan. It's just not as accessible as SMX because SMX is a hub. It's
I think
area is a terminal.
rather than say madali siyang puntahan, I would just term it
It's
as
more convenient.
It's not difficult to get to,
Yeah,
but
it's
it's
more
not
convenient to get to.
It's a
Yeah.
It's there. Well, I mean, I'm okay. I can't say because that's commuting. I drive. Woo, I drive. And it's terrible for people who drive because parking and
That's
a lot
bad.
of people parking there is so limited. It's so limited. Period.
It is.
Yeah,
If you
but
park there, you have to walk quite a distance to get
I do
there.
remember going to APCC twice. I can't remember which ones.
I've been there twice.
And I
At
remember
least,
one of the things that I could remember is that I could go to the event and I could stretch my arms like this, and
yeah.
my
I
arms would go down.
remember when I went there. I think I was with one of the other LUGN folks, si Pat and someone else, and I was like, I said the same thing. I was like, I said this is a world class convention because I can breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I mean you can go in, you walk around, and you have space to like look at the stuff, and you don't have to be like, oh my gosh, sorry, pardon. Okay, I mean you don't have those experiences. You could like go back and forth with the merchandise. You don't have to be like, sorry, it's only one way. I gotta go around because it's too crowded and I can't look at your merch again.
Mhm.
It's the flow of people.
yeah. I think kasi like I suddenly remember that the convention that we used to go to in early 2000s was the C3Con, Culture Crash Comics Convention.
Ultra trash, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember that at that time, the early days, you- people could enter the convention and not make tambay outside because there was space inside. You
Yeah.
could actually stretch out your arms and not bump into someone. But
Yung
There,
Hero
there is a
Con sa
negative
Silver
point.
City.
so
There's
in a lot
a
of
negative
cases,
point
a
in the
lot of
mainstream.
the early events were like that. Nowadays, though, many events tend to um, tend to try to maximize the number of people. So it's not actually very uh,
Friendly.
friendly. And I think the reason they try to maximize the event is because of greed. Sorry to say, but it's really because at the end of the day, it's a business. You need to make money, so you want to put as many people inside. But I think
Yep.
that's where the folly of the event is that
Quarantine.
it becomes unenjoyable when there's just way too many people and
Yep.
there's no place for you to actually move around. And although unlike the one we saw earlier, Anime Expo, I've seen a lot of events in the US where even in San Diego Comic Con, there's a lot of space, there's a lot of breathing room because not everyone, number one, something that I've noticed is that the tickets for example, SDCC, it's actually limited. So
Yep.
you actually have to be first come first serve basis, and you have to book it online. And usually tickets are sold out within a few minutes of it being live online.
Yep.
And the only time they start selling tickets on site is if they see that the capacity is low, and usually that doesn't happen, right? Um,
Mhm.
in the same manner, I think it was a good idea for Conquest to actually have the tickets selling online, but they overestimated the booking online. So when time came to it, people were there, people lining up. They couldn't even enter the event. So it was like an anime expo where people were just squeezed in and packed in like sardines, right?
Mm.
And that's definitely something you want to avoid in any event or any convention.
How dare you call them sardines? Joke lang.
Wow. So
So what should we call them? No, I'm kidding. Just go ahead.
so I think I agree with the three pillars that Vince mentioned earlier. But it has to be also at the same time that the event organizers aren't necessarily just looking after making a quick buck. Because if their idea is I want to make a convention to make money, and let's face it, a lot of
I
events are
don't
like that.
I
Wait,
don't think
let me finish. Let me finish. A lot of event organizers here in the Philippines do tend to have the idea that it's a business. And it is. I'm not going to discount that. But when it's purely business, then you are starting to forget the enjoyability factor that people are looking for in the event.
I would even tackle that. Like just because you're a business doesn't mean you can't make it enjoyable. Because there
no,
are some businesses which one of the metrics is customer satisfaction. You don't want angry customers because they make business terrible for you.
And as we
One
can see,
angry
that's what happened to
customer,
Conquest.
exactly. One angry customer, you need like 5 happy customers to counter that. Because the noise of one angry customer is like the positive feedback of 5 or more happy customers. So, just from a business hat or term.
I think just to add just this last part, ticket pricing actually does have a huge impact in the enjoyability. And this is actually the same thing that I say when it comes to ticket prices in public transportation. I am willing to pay more for the convenience. So, in a sense, like if I pay like 12, 15 pesos for, let's say, riding the MRT, but I'm packed and I feel like I'm going to pop just going inside the train. I'd
Mm.
rather not, no. But if I have, let's say, for example, if I pay 50 pesos for the convenience of being able to actually conveniently get in line and be able to ride without problems, I don't mind as much because 50 pesos is still cheaper than taking a 200 peso taxi ride or a 300 to 400 peso grab ride, right?
Right, right.
That's in the same idea in customer satisfaction. We're looking at events. If I really want to enjoy an event and I know that for the convenience of there won't be as many people and there are really good, I don't mind paying a little bit more, a premium, so to speak, with
Mm.
the ticket prices. Um, but usually the idea is let's pack this place as many people as possible with the the price that will cater to the massa, so to speak. No, so and
I
yeah,
guess that's a thing also note to note. Sa events natin, okay, just establishing a few extra thoughts. Most of these geeky festivals or conventions, honestly, these are not really ROI events. Although people make money off it, but you're celebrating something which is actually a luxury, diba?
Mhm.
So there are people who complain like, I don't want to spend that much. Well, hey, you know what? In the first place,
It's not for you.
something for like this
exactly.
is
You know?
actually, well, not just that it's not for you, but something like this is actually a luxury event. This is a splurge event. This is something you treat yourself to
Yeah.
because it's not really meant to be like, it's not like eating food and then you're just like, oh, pop in, pop out, basta pangkain. It's not food eh. It's a celebration of something. It's like a
Mhm.
birthday. You splurge a bit for this. So
Yeah.
don't treat it as if like you deserve low prices. No. This is a convention. It's
Yeah.
not your everyday thing.
Yeah, kaya nga parang gusto ko i-bring back to the discussion na people paid quote unquote top dollar for a 1-day pass, a 3-day pass, a meet and
Yeah.
greet, and hindi nila nakuha.
Mm.
It's not even about the ano eh, it's not even about yung ano eh, parang yun yung satisfaction of just getting into it
Right, right.
because
That's another
I
thing.
spent
But yes, go
I
on.
spent my salary just to meet I don't know, one of the voice actors of Genshin or VTubers, and this is what I get, 'di ba?
Yep.
So parang ano mo yun, this is ano alam ko we don't have that enough pull within the industry or the community to, affect change. Pero at the same time kasi, ano yan eh, ano ba yung tamang term? There have been events that are, talagang quality yung ano, kaya lang walang masyadong sumusuporta kasi it's too expensive. Kaya hindi natutuloy. So I would disagree na it's always about the sales. Kasi hindi naman lahat ganun except for so alam mo yun?
No, I won't say except
I
for.
know. I'm not saying that it's
No,
about.
let's just be frank. There are some orgs there where it's really all about the money.
The
And
money kasi
they're business driven. And
yeah,
there are
that's
good and bad sides to
understandable.
that.
That's understandable kasi syempre hindi nga naman talaga hindi naman talaga simpleng ano yan eh. Hindi lang naman talaga siya simpleng I want I have money I'm just gonna make an event and that's it. Kasi talagang pinaghirapan and people would have to, invest on it. And that's what happened with APCC. The investors who were investing in APCC pulled out. This is just before the pandemic hit. Kaya wala na APCC. But does it mean that was APCC a bad event? No. I mean, among the events, APCC has been remembered fondly.
Yes.
But the
Yeah.
ticket prices were very, very high. Yun yung if there were any complaints about APCC, it was the ticket sale. And it's supposed to be understandable. Kasi, number one, it's supposed to be a premium event. Number two, it was supposed to be, ano nga pa yung sabi mo dyang klaseng event? It's something that I want to splurge on.
Yeah, it's a luxury.
For me kasi like looking at the APCC guest lineup, I mean, seriously,
I
parang wow.
actually
Wow
feel they,
talaga
I
ako kasi
actually
they're
feel
not.
they undercharged. Honestly, undercharging sila for the guest lineup.
Undercharge pa nga yun eh.
Kasi if you look at their guest list, some of the guests that they actually got are big name stars eh.
Pero no, nung time na yun, hindi pa sila ganun kasikat.
Well,
sila ganun kasikat.
even if you say hindi sila ganun kasikat, they had enough under their belt to say that, dude, honestly, you get an equivalent now, it's still big ticket. It's still big ticket.
Like,
Yeah,
for example,
hindi sila
when APCC
No,
came out, I remember sitting in dun sa interview with one of the cast members from season 1 of Arrow. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah, pero kasi hindi pa siya notice, hindi nila kinuha si Arnel. Arnel ba tama? Tama.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but
Okay.
they got
They got-
the fact that they actually got a cast member from a big show, even if it's not
But
the main cast member, regular cast
I
member,
mean-
but even if it's not the bida guy, that's a big deal for them to be able to fly that person here in the Philippines. That's a bigger deal than bringing in, sorry to say, social media influencers, no? So para sa akin, parang wow, medyo big deal to. I mean, I'm getting bang for my buck even though medyo expensive eh. Sayang nga yung
Okay.
isang APCC nga na hindi
Are you-
natuloy si Hayley Atwell eh. Hayley Atwell is a
Sino yung sasabi mo? Social media influencers? Hold on. Sino yung they're not supposed to be like social media influencers? Sorry. Medyo I wanted to hook on that statement na sinabi mo. Compared to that they're social media influencers.
No, I'm not saying any particular social media influencers, but in a lot
Okay,
of events, we normally have social media influencers as guests, which are great, no
Okay.
problem.
Okay.
I mean, like for example, Conquest, there are people in social media that I wanted to meet and greet. Pero
You
parang-
mean YouTube celebrities?
yeah.
Okay.
Pero
So
remember at the time that APCC came out, social media, while yes, there were already social media influencers, they weren't as big as they are now. And
No,
Yeah, because there weren't as big as they are now.
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, unless of course at the time na sa APCC biglang nakuha nila si PewDiePie or si Nigahiga na wow, okay. Kung nakuha nila
Okay,
'yon,
okay.
'di ba? Parang 'yun ang big deal din 'yun. But the fact that they were
Okay.
able to get, like for example, hindi lang natuloy eh. Pero sayang, like si Hayley Atwell is a big star if you think
Oo.
about it eh. Pero that they were
Pag
able
mo
to,
matanda sa akin nun, sobrang na-bitter ako kay Hayley Atwell dun. Sobrang bitter ako kay Hayley
Okay,
Atwell.
let's flip
My
things
point
around. Let's flip things around.
but I'm just saying the
Whatever
quality
with
of-
Hayley Atwell, they got Henry Cavill, who at that time already was Man of Steel.
Mhm.
So, you get a frontliner for an active.
Kasi ano? Billy Bobby Brown.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
Stranger
these are big
Things.
name,
So
big
like
name
she was a frontline, di ba? Ng active top selling entity TV show, or I mean Netflix show rather. So I mean, I'm not gonna basically
Hairs.
basically for the kind of people they were bringing in, they were grossly undercharging.
agree ako.
Diba?
So, but
They
and
were,
people were
they
still
were.
going, and even if people were complaining about the price of the ticket, I mean, I think
Hindi naman,
it's the premium.
it's not, you're not done.
You're
Yeah,
not the
really.
audience. I mean, you can't afford it, and I'm sorry, you're not the audience of this. And that's fine. You don't have to target
Hey,
everyone.
it's me. I'm the problem. It's me.
Okay, so let's bring it back to the kinds of conventions.
I want
Kasi,
to bring
okay,
it
you're
back.
not the audience. So let's establish that conventions nowadays, there's already so much of this happening that is there a need to separate different kinds of convention?
Yes.
Is there a pang masa convention? And is there a pang
Yes.
premium convention?
Yes.
Okay, so the answer is yes. So those are challenges you have to answer. If you're gonna do a pangmasa convention, where should it be? How should it be held? If you're gonna do a premium convention, where you do it? How should it be done?
Gusto ko bumanat.
Bumanat ka
Bumanat.
lang.
Oh,
Gusto ko
bumanat
bumanat.
ka na.
Kasi,
No, but
pangmasa
I mean,
convention.
legit eh.
Cosplay PH.
Whoa there! Happy there!
No, I can't disagree. Honestly, it is the most masa cosplay event in the Philippines at this point.
At this point.
That is
At this point, it is. When you say cosplay PH, you mean so yung mga lahat ng events nila, which are
Hindi naman lahat. I mean, they try to kasi the amount of events they're trying to do. Actually, I really can't say anymore sa cosplay conventions kasi I haven't really gotten into one because
Recently.
wala na ako amor sa cosplay conventions after everything that I've experienced. So, pag cosplay convention, hard pass na ako. And considering na if you're going to partner with a convention, ito yan guys as a media entity, the way that the compensation they're asking from media entities or blogs is way too much to be able to get a partner for the event at para lang ang bibigay lang nila sa'yo is a pass to get into the event. Di ba magbayad ka na ng ticket para pumasok?
You're talking about being a media person.
Being a media entity to get into a cosplay convention, cosplay PH convention, you have to create an article, you have to pre and post, you have to create a video article. No, video article.
Video is a bit challenging.
Tapos you're not even allowed to get into the, di ba may mga interviews and whatnot. You can't get into that. You can't just even get into the interviews to do an interview and create content.
Wait, you can't get into an interview to do an interview? How does that even work?
Yung mga hall meetings, like
Yung mga hall
parang
meetings,
katulad sa
special
APCC. If you're dinala nila si ganito, you can't even interview them. I forgot alam ko, they're already local blogs that blogged about it, and sobrang lala daw that some people just don't want to cover cosplay conventions anymore.
Cosplay conventions, period, or cosplay conventions by certain organizers?
Cosplay PH conventions.
Okay.
Mag-name drop na ako, cosplay PH conventions. Kasi ang lala ng requirement nila for media, it's better to pay for the pass na lang to get into the venue than,
do your own thing.
Do your own thing. Para lang malagay ka as partner. Diba?
Pwede mo pa sabihin unbiased yung mo, yung content na gagawin mo, diba?
Yeah.
Kasi parang the way that Vince is describing it, you have to do pre-post event. May pre-event article, may post-event article, may video article. Tapos yung access mo limited pa, hindi pa normally pag media partner ka dapat you should have access to the guests that you can interview them.
At least man lang, and bigyan man lang ng opportunity to
one or
interview
two
them.
guests, right? At least a couple of
Pero wala.
So, but wala
They
yun.
don't give you access at all.
So parang
Wala pa nga media area.
Diba? Parang if you think about it, that's medyo you're asking a lot for very little. Na parang halos ang labas ay pass lang na makapasok ka din mo. Like Vince said, bili na lang ako ng ticket, di ba?
Bili na lang ng ticket.
Yep.
Tapos pwede pa ako magsalita sa event na in as much as I want. Naman.
Yep.
Let's do a few comments. From Kyle, you guys don't have a centralized place where businesses can be reported, people can take advantage. In the USA, we have the Better Business Bureau,
We
BBB, which
technically
anyone can.
We do have
DTI,
something like
diba?
that. It's
Is it
DTI.
DTI?
DTI is supposed to
DTI.
be the ones who handles all
Yeah,
of that.
pero wala pa nagko-complain, pero I think people are starting a class action suit against Conquest, so I'm not sure. Tapos, Vel is, cosplay conventions need to be held in well-ventilated venue because I feel bad for cosplayers who sweat in their costumes like crazy. Vel. Vel. Vel.
Cosplay conventions, actually the most convenient for a cosplay player is in a very well air-conditioned area
Not,
with space. So it's both.
Tsaka,
You need space,
tsaka,
yes, but not just ventilation. It's like naka-AC ka dapat.
I remember when we were in AFA, as
Yeah.
the Anime Festival Asia in Singapore. This
Yes.
was like years ago, mga 2008, 2009, something like that, or 2010.
Something like that, yeah.
They
It's
have
still
your main event hall. There's a main event hall. There's a concert hall, and then on the side there was a parang common room. There's nothing in there except a place for cosplayers to sit down,
Be-
relax, or pose for pictures or whatever. So parang
It's
ano
an
lang siya.
it's a chill hall.
So basically, it's like in the Philippines normally pag let's say SMX outside the mall, doon sila nagfo-photo,
No.
ganun. Bawal na ngayon yun, pero before,
they started doing that when people started asking for it.
Pero
Dati, pinapalabas pa nila na, since you guys are there, we rented out the hall M where you can do as a chill area and whatever. But they already started doing it when people are asking for it.
yun. Well, it's a good thing that people are doing. Pero yun, before, I remember doing that. Na parang, without people asking for it, it's there. Gets mo? So, I feel like the level of customer service kasi that nasa mindset ng mga convention event organizers ng AFA.
Perhaps they had learned it also through experience.
Possible naman. I think kasi, and this is kasi, Vince knows this, but this is my complaint.
Experience, I mean AFA. Like, it's possible that the people attending
Yeah, they
AFA
learned it from experience.
also learned it from experience. Maybe they also didn't have that, and they said, "Hey, can you guys set up a place?" And then they set it up. So
Pero I think
point is they have something.
John, yung inattendan natin was the first. It was the first, diba?
No,
I remember
no.
it was the first AFA.
Okay, we will double check on that. But anyway.
But my point is, parang nasa mindset nila yung ano ba yung experience ng customers nila. And Vince knows this, John knows this. One of my biggest complaints is that most Philippine entities, not all, but many Philippine entities don't have customers in mind. Which irritates me to such an extent.
It was the second. We attended the second AFA.
JB, ika nga ng mga organizers, hindi dapat pa-entitled.
So parang
Hindi ka dapat entitled.
Some point ko, parang if people don't complain, pwede na yan. And I really hate that. Parang, we should do better. We should anticipate pa nga kung kaya. Diba? But,
pero kasi, ito rin yung gusto kong i-banat as a counter to that. It's easier said than done that since we're armchair commenting on it. Pero kasi hindi natin alam yung cost. I understand na I understand that we're supposed to do better. Pero kasi it's either that or wag na lang gumawa ng event. Kasi lalo na if you're going to do it at SMX, kasi yung presyo na the World Trade Center, price-wise based on what I've heard. World Trade Center, ito yung price, SMX, then the rest. Alam mo yun? Yung price disparity ng events venues is really that big na hindi natin, napakadali natin sabihin, bakit hindi nila gawin dito? Or ba't hindi nila gawin dito? Pero kasi we were not seeing yung cost side of things.
Yep.
Na parang they have to balance between costs and ano yung term, cost and the ROI.
Yep.
Gets ko naman yun. And that's not but my point kasi is that despite the cost, there are many ways to make adjustments to make the experience better. Na parang hindi na lang like again, I go back to like for example, and this is this is apart from conquest or any
Yep.
specific event. You have for example an event na jam-pack ng tao. You increase the prices, the tendency is your number of people will go down. Kasi mas mahal yung mas mahal yung event. So,
Yep.
I don't mind paying a little bit more for the convenience. So, you're still hitting your target kasi binalanse mo dun sa presyo Gets mo? And also, for example, the little things, there are little things kasi na that can be done Hindi naman kailangan, it has to be major things to make the customer experience better. So parang I think lang madalas kasi parang we just look at numbers. Ito yung occupancy, let's ganito, ganun. Parang hindi natin tinitingnan na how can we make the experience of this customer better? How do we like set up the queuing system so that it's not inconvenient for people? How do we manage the ticketing so that those who can actually pay or those who are there, they can enter, they can enjoy the event, 'di ba? May mga small things na pwedeng i-adjust to make the customer. But we don't think of that madalas hindi yan but I am able to see that in more established events. And we mentioned earlier, Asia Pop Comic Con. I think my experience in Asia Pop Comic Con is mostly positive. And ang complaint lang naman daw is that the pricing was more expensive. And hindi naman siya lugi I don't think it was a lugi event, 'di ba?
No, it was. I think most people, almost everyone who went to APCC would say that the cost was worth it.
Exactly. So ako,
I don't want to say that as a definitive kasi there were people who went to APCC and hindi sila natuwa.
Yeah, but you can find more
That's why
positives.
Positives.
Okay.
Medyo ano yung term? It's kind of hard to to determine that if you don't know the actual numbers of kasi malay mo
True,
sa
admittedly,
tayo, 'di ba? Tayo we can say na it's a good experience kasi ganito ganyan. But you don't know kasi you don't have the beat
We
of
don't have-
the
True.
the beat of the local community. So we can say we can easily say all those things. Pero kasi also at the same time kasi you also have to consider yung pivot ni APCC. 'Di ba nung ginawa nilang event nung una, it was just purely Marvel stuff. Tapos eventually nung
Mostly,
succeeding APCCs, they brought in brands na that are not even geek related. Andun nga si Enchanted Kingdom Oh, 'di ba? Remember that time? Andun si Enchanted Kingdom. So, alam mo yun, parang we can easily say those things. Ayoko lang sabihin kasi na
Okay.
na bakit hindi ganyan, ba't hindi ganyan, ba't hindi ganun. But we're not looking at it. Kasi lalo that with the way people are taking it in.
Right.
Biggest complaint ko with one of the bigger events is that bakit napaka-archaic ng treatment sa media on certain events na it's very recently happening this weekend. So, ano ba yun? Parang I understand. Pero pinupuntahan pa rin siya ng tao. They don't change a lot. Yung partner nila, it's the same gosh darn partner na alam mo yun, na ito lang yung dadalhin. So you're gonna expect a lot of Funko Pops this weekend coming out. Alam mo yun? So
A lot of what?
Funko Pops.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, alam mo yun, I mean, yeah, we also know we know that. Pero I understand na, alam mo yun, na it's easier to say na all those things. Pero syempre, ano yan ang perspective ko, the worst event in the Philippine history is Go Show. If you don't remember that event, good. Kasi walang nangyari. Nag-pre-sale sila ng tickets, nagsabi sila sa World Trade Center sila, but where were they? Wala.
Oh,
diba?
man.
If you guys don't remember that, you're too young. If you guys are at my age, you don't remember the event, shame on you. Kasi you don't, alam mo yun, parang if people are saying, oh no, Conquest is the worst event ever. No. The first event that happened in the Philippines is the event that did not happen, but they actually pre-sold tickets. It was Go Show. Search for it. I was there. I covered the event. Dumaan ako na may mga naghihintay na cosplayers in costume sa World Trade Center, and the guards were asking, bakit po kayo nandito, ma'am, sir? Di ba may event? Wala pong event.
Grabe, no?
Diba? Sobrang, oh my gosh, how did they get away with it? Kung scam
you couldn't find anyone to file a case against, right? They just
Yeah. It just disappeared.
Diba?
Diba?
That's a legit scam. That's full up.
That's a legit scam.
Scam talaga yun.
Diba? So, I'm not saying that, pagpatawarin natin si Conquest, I mean, we should have. Kasi, considering that their events prior to this year was okay. They just, a bit more than they can chew, and so it's going to be interesting on what's gonna happen this weekend. Also, with the upcoming events coming in. Kasi, di ba, they learned from the mistakes. Saan nila gaganapin ng ToyCon this weekend? Sige nga, ToyCon 2023 venue.
Sa
SMX pa rin.
Because at the end of the day, they are one of the best cost for benefit locations. It's
Location.
You can't say it's SMX fault. You just have to go in there knowing
Na ito yung
its
ito yung
limitations. You gotta go in there knowing its limitations, its capacity, etc.
I think
Diba?
I think but if we're gonna talk about event na I don't know if it's worse, but it's bad experience ako madalas. It's usually events by Ozine. Sorry.
Okay, so
Why?
when you say events by Ozine, which events and why?
Yung pinaka main Ozine event nila, yung Otaku Fest, generally speaking, I've had bad experience. In my experience, parang I feel like I'm paying too much. Tapos yung list of activities or whatever na available, parang ito lang, yun lang yun. Yung parang ganun pakiramdam ko. Parang pumasok lang ako, umikot-ikot, and then out. Wala na akong ibang, parang the only reason I'm here, the only reason I'm lining up or parang buying tickets is to be with friends. So kung wala akong friends dito, parang hindi ko siya masabing sulit. And parang there's always, I feel like there's always a problem. hindi ko ma-explain pero parang lagi silang may problema, yung program nila hindi naman nila nasusunod na on time. Parang tapos the way they
Program, okay.
I feel like hindi parang business lang to, parang ganun yung dating. And it feels like
labas lang sila labas ng events para lang masabing meron silang events na nilalabas.
Yes. And actually, dami nilang events, and I'm like thinking, are they even making money
They
from
do.
this, From
Well,
this,
apparently they are, because you can't do.
They are
actually,
making money.
Year on year, they increase they have more and more events than the previous year.
Tapos-
Alam mo bakit they're making money? Because they have a sponsor.
Well,
They have a sponsor na. They have a partner na.
Tapos wala, ayun pa, yung mga sponsorships nila, if you were saying like Ace of Pop Comic Con na may Enchanted Kingdom, ma-forgive ko pa yung Enchanted Kingdom eh. Pero yung sa ano, pag minsan, sila, ba't may ganitong sponsor na parang, anong relation niya sa, ano, sa anime, sa cosplay, or what? Parang ako, my gosh, parang maski sino na lang, just to make money. Yun yung pakiramdam ko. So, in general, I don't attend their events anymore because it always feels like parang pinaperahan lang
Yeah.
ako. Yung I am there for an hour and I'm paying for a whole day or 2 days. Parang ganun yung pakiramdam eh. So, parang 1 hour tapos naikot mo na wala nang akong ibang ma-enjoy dito. Parang that's it.
Okay. So we have been ranting and comparing a lot of things. But I have okay. So Vince gave you the 3 pillars. Like what would make for a good event though? Like what would make for a good event? Or have we already finished that?
I think
Or are we
think-
gonna
I
end,
think
we're gonna
yung
end with
na-mention
what
naman
Vince
nila.
said?
Naging
Ganito.
consensus natin yun eh.
Okay. Consensus naman natin that those are required. So just as something like to end to kind of conclude on, I guess, is like so you feel like okay, so we know that there's a lot of room for improvement, and I don't think they'll. But the point is, what you look for to call so those 3 pillars, like program, kasi yung pinaka seems to be very very important, right? Kasi pillar nga siya eh. What for you, John? What makes a good program?
I think what makes a good program for a convention or even a festival is that there are a set of activities that I am willing to stay behind and enjoy.
Okay, what are those
So for
activities?
example,
Yes.
these
Let's
are
go
some
specific.
examples. Like in AFA Singapore, nakita ko yung program nila. So there were events on stage that I actually want to sit down and listen. And then they even had a concert sa gabi, and the movie pala. We watched the movie. Doon ko nga napanood yung Suzumiya Haruhi na movie. And parang it brought full circle the series to me. Yung parang sobrang
I actually
wow.
forgot about that. There was that was a
And
unique
that's it.
movie.
So parang I
Yeah.
felt there were like activities that kept me engaged with the with the event. So parang there's no rush for me to get out and do something else. A lot of times kasi yung program napapansin ko kasi parang in many events on the sideline na lang siya eh. Or parang may program na hindi naman nasunod yung oras, parang ano yung point? So, are there events within the activity center, like are there booths that will keep me engaged and keep me there? Or is
What
it just
kind of booths keep you engaged and keep you there?
interactive booths? Booths that allow me to test something, play something,
Okay, interactive.
take pictures with. Maybe if there are if there are booths na may guests, baka ganon could be.
Okay.
So the activities within should be engaging, and hindi na siya dapat kasi marami rin kasing events ngayon na parang ang booths nila, karamihan ng booths that you see there are merchant booths, which is not a bad thing. I'm not ragging on that. It's just that parang they can only keep me engaged for so long before diba? Parang okay, naikot ko na sila lahat. Tapos na ako. What else is there to enjoy in this event? What else? Meron ba bang ibang activities? So, is there a program on stage that I should sit down and listen to and watch? These are the questions that I'm asking. Is there swag that I can get if I do certain activities? May mga ganon. And sometimes ako personally, yun yung hinahanap ko eh. No, na parang something to do within the event. If there's nothing to do, and then the only thing that I can do is just go around and take a look at the merchandise, after a while, magsasawa ako. Diba?
Okay.
I remember before, sa mga cosplay conventions before, you had the actual program sa cosplay conventions. So, may time na kita mo talaga, highlight is on the stage. Highlight is the people, parang, putting on performances. Ngayon, medyo na-notice ko na wala yung ganun eh. Na parang, people are not focused on what's happening on the
Wala na
stage.
ba?
Meron pa rin
I
naman.
disagree with that. I disagree
Meron
with
pa
that.
rin naman
Pero go.
but I don't think it's as prominent in many, not all, in many events. Again, Vince, hindi ko
Yeah.
sinasabi,
Kasi-
hindi ko nilalahat to. Yun lang
Yeah.
about ko
Hindi. Kasi
nakikita.
I also understand where you're coming from. Pero at the same time kasi, nagbago na yung mindset ng mga tao.
Yeah.
Na parang, yes, may stage event, pero they're not going to make it that big that people would, people were still going to walk around it. Hindi na siya tulad before kasi people who would actually care for the event would go there. People who don't will just walk around. Gets?
What was
I understand it.
but like for example, there was ano yung pinuntahan natin last time na gaming convention na magkakasama tayo? It wasn't
ESGS.
Conquest. ESGS ba 'yon?
Yeah.
I feel like yun, it kept me engaged kasi there were booths everywhere na pwede nating mag-interact with. May mga parang swag that we can line up for and get stuff. I mean, it kept me engaged. And aside from the merch place na we actually spent a lot of time in the merch. So parang sabi ko, dito na nasulit yung oras ko dito. So whatever I paid for, I felt like nasulit yung time ko. So nasulit yung oras. Kahit medyo sabi ko, wow, mahal na pala ng ticket ngayon ng ng mga events.
But that's
diba?
a gaming event, right? That's a gaming event.
So my point is, there were a lot of things to do that kept me engaged, even if I'm not
I need
as
to
focused on the stage.
insert in short, guys. For you geeks out there and geek organizers, a lot of geeks are ADHD, so please cater to that. Neuro-friendly programs. Anyway, pero no, gets naman. You want a variety of events or activities, both center stage and off stage.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be all on the stage. It's just that there should.
Yeah. My center stage. There are some center stage events which are interesting, and then you also have off stage stuff. So, actually, the thing is, program wise, going back to Conquest, and we are totally not Conquest apologists. Conquest had a really wide variety of activities.
I would think so. Ang biggest issue lang talaga nila is with the number of people that hindi na manage ng maayos.
It was the logistics and the organizing.
And so and I think one of the things that organizers of events should also expect that people are going to complain regardless of how good your event is.
Yeah, there's always gonna be complainers.
Ang naging disappointment ko sa kanila or one of them was parang, why are you complaining about the people complaining about your event? I mean, 'di ba? Parang para
No.
sa akin.
Are you mistaking Conquest with
With what? Ay.
I'm sorry, pero no, hindi yun yung they never did.
Meron.
They never did.
Meron.
Sino?
Kay Pilar ko pa nakita yung post, kaya ako na-disappointed.
Yung kay that's him. That's him.
But
Unfortunately, he also was a representation of.
Yeah, he's a co-founder kasi.
So you expect it to happen You expect that people are going to complain. And so the best that you can do is listen to the feedback and do better next time. Yun lang naman yun ang problema kasi, if you sound defensive or you sound like you're angry about it, then why did you jump into this event organizing?
He became the monster that he claimed he wasn't. Yun lang yun. Just don't mouth off. Yun lang yun. Just don't mouth off. Medyo
one of
hindi
the
ko
things
nagustuhan.
is, if you're in events, expect to get bashed a lot.
Pero just don't mouth off. Yun lang yun. Yung bashing, whatever, fine. Medyo, it's okay to get hurt, whatever. But just don't mouth off. Yun lang yun.
And
maliit ang convention event. Just because you think you're better doesn't mean that you will be. Ayan, tuloy. The pride before the fall.
Yep.
And I agree ako sa'yo, Vince, no? There are other organizers that That inaaway
And
talaga nila. Inaaway nila sila.
this is not exclusive to just the conquest organizers. There
Yeah,
are
yeah,
actually
yeah.
a lot of people in this. There are a lot of organizers, and let's face it. Why is the cosplay not cosplay, sorry, why is the geek and slash convention scene problematic as it is? Well, it's the people who run it. That's right. We
Mhm.
cannot separate it. We keep talking about cons as if there's no people involved, but no, they are. They're the guys running it, planning it, putting it together. So it really falls down to the people behind the scenes to
Or
step up
handling the
their game.
events.
Yeah, who handle events, who manage events, who create the events, who get it going. They have to step up their game, both as organizers and just as people in general. Because if you want to have better and higher quality conventions, then you have to have better, more mature people running things.
Better, more mature people.
Better and more mature. I mean, honestly, you need maturity to run a good.
It's true. In my immature days. Wow, my immature days. I used to write blogs as a hobby. I used to write I used
Mm.
to be a blog writer of events and whatever. And I gained some minor notoriety because sometimes I would talk about when I review an event, I would talk about the positive and negative. And for some reason, there would be event organizers na talagang ay nangaaway talaga. Hindi talaga matanggap yung
Hindi,
negative.
JB, aminin mo na ikaw si Gamer Toto eh.
Ay grabe.
Oh my gosh, that name!
Oh my
Aminin mo
gosh.
na ikaw si Gamer Toto eh, JB.
OMG.
If you guys don't know that name,
You
count
gosh.
yourself lucky.
Wow,
Yeah.
Vince. Wow.
No, I mean
Nostalgia
kasi
trip. Nakakainis.
and I don't think that's nostalgia. That's more like toxic.
Notoriety.
Notoriety. No, but my point is, hindi naman ako super kilala, no? But those who knew me, who would end up reading my blog, they would have reactions, and there were, talagang, ramdam mo yung parang may nangaaway talaga, parang ako, chill lang, nagbibigay lang ako ng feedback, hindi kailangan mang-away, di ba? Pero di ba, parang,
Yeah, si
so
Gamer Totoy ka kasi.
that's why I think John is right that there should be a certain level of maturity when handling events, kasi hindi nga pwedeng you can't just mouth off like Vince said, and you can't just
Yeah.
how do I put it? Hindi ka pwedeng mag-rant lang na ganito ginagawa ng mga tao, ganito ginagawa ng mga
Yeah.
I mean,
You don't gaslight your own audience.
To a certain extent, there's a benefit from being a faceless
we
corporate
also
person.
don't steal
because-
from your audience. Joke lang.
Oh, whoa.
Sorry, I don't get that at all.
Mamaya.
Right.
Explain namin.
So anyway, I was just saying there's a certain benefit to being a faceless corporate thing
Entity.
because hey, it's an event, you run it, you don't have to post PR, you just market. Walang personalan kasi wala kang matitira din eh. And it ends up they're able to focus on the job better. So they end up producing more consistent events.
I think when you think about it, talaga, may demand naman kasi talaga for events here in the Philippines.
Yeah,
sobrang-
Maglalagay din ako na isang example ng good na consistently nag-i-improve na event. Rev Major.
Agree.
Consistently improving siya.
which is a smaller event, but it is consistent and it is
No, it's smaller than solely becoming and bringing in art.
Yeah.
Bringing
I
in
think,
bigger.
it is our hope that they don't overgrow their britches.
Medyo I know stuff that happened. So last year pa, here is the thing. Last year, nagkaroon ng sunog sa Rev Major. Kasi
Like legit
literally yung ilaw nila nagdiyab.
Dang, bro.
And they were able to handle it professionally.
Oh.
Diba? You haven't heard about it. Diba? You haven't heard about it. Walang mangyaring masama.
I think
So kung magaling yung handling nyo, people will just move on.
Yeah. I think one thing that Rev Major is probably doing right is yung scalability. Yung proper
Oh, they
scalability
scaled it
ng
properly.
oh, hindi yung parang
Yeah.
we have an event now next year, super big event, hindi siya ganon. Ang hirap kasi
Yeah.
mag-ano eh.
I would I wanna commend Rohan in talagang keeping the fighting game community alive.
So,
As
I
in,
think,
siya yung siya yung nag-handle. Yeah. But anyway.
yeah.
All right. We
nag-explain.
hope that for those of the smaller events, they're learning from all of these major flip flops. Because I mean, I don't know what to say. He can only go better from here. I don't know. No, I don't want to say it
Yeah.
can get worse, man. Because it can.
I think,
You
like I
can.
mentioned, there is really a demand for good events.
Yes, there
Events
is.
in general, actually, because I think as geeks, as gamers, as geeks, we all want that space where we can belong. No?
Yep.
GMA? Oh, sorry.
Wow.
Sorry.
Oh, what?
Wala na sa TV5 na sila. Joke lang.
Anyway.
Ibang
Yan, ang
spicy.
random.
Anyway.
Okay, tama na.
Anyway, what I'm saying is that we all look for a place that we belong. And I think even as
That's true.
friends tayo, 'di ba? Parang we gather together because we share similar interests, 'di ba? Whether it's in games or anime or movies, geeky movies, whatever. We share similar interests. And that's why conventions like Conquest and other events are created with that in mind because may demand, may need. And I think good events does actually take into account that need of people to gather together and have that time that oy, may safe place ako where I can be with friends, I can enjoy myself, etc. I guess in some cases, either there are cases where there are people hindi lang nila na-expect or na manage properly yung event nila. Meron naman mga business-minded lang, hindi talaga sila nag-iisip kundi just to make money. But at the end of the
So,
day,
EA. Mhm.
no, parang
Mhm.
the reason we gather, the reason we come together is for that safe place. Sabay transition, kaya dapat mag-join kayo ng Level Up. Joke lang. So,
Not entirely wrong.
sorry?
Not
Not
entirely wrong.
entirely wrong. Go na, tuloy mo na, JB.
So, I think, in summary, for me at least, is that there will always be problems with events and there will always be complaints. There's no perfect event naman talaga. But it's really, as an organizer, if I was an organizer and parang you take note not just of the problems and issues that you have encountered, but the problems and issues encountered by other events. That's the way you can learn and improve.
Yep.
And I think ako kasi number one thing yung customer service sa akin, don't mouth off against your audience. Kahit marami silang complaints, they're your audience eh. They know what they're experiencing. 'Di ba? So, iba talaga, kailangan mong i-take into account that if you really want your event to be successful.
Yep. Any closing statements from you, Vince?
Nothing. Wala na ako statement. Haba lang din. Basta masasabi ko lang, just don't mouth off. Yun lang yun. Just don't mouth off.
And don't steal. Joke lang.
So
Explain na
basically,
natin.
avoid doing terrible human things.
Yeah.
Unwise human
Avoid.
things.
Just don't be shady.
So actually, in other words, if you do ethical and quality business practices, if you're a business, which a lot of you guys are, you're actually not gonna go wrong, diba? Good customer service, treat them with respect, and understand you're here. I don't know. You're here because of multiple things. You're here for passion, celebrating things, festival, diba? And people are people. So you just gotta tough your way through things and improve. Diba? Ganun lang naman eh.
Yeah, and I think ethical, like you mentioned, ethical talaga.
Yes, ethical.
Ano,
I didn't.
there has to be a moral standard. of how you do things. And I think that includes also accountability. Taking
Yep.
taking responsibility for the things that didn't go wrong, even if you didn't do anything wrong. As event
Yeah.
organizers, meron kang ganong responsibility.
Yep.
And these are I think values that are also innately Christian, diba? To take responsibility to do what is ethical and moral. And
Mm.
as I think if you take into account the people that you are catering to, then you can be successful in
Yep.
your business, your event, whatever it is.
Mm.
Um, that being said, yun nga, even us, no, here in Level Up, we want to create that environment. Wow, talagang connect ko yun. So, no,
Alright.
and
Thank you.
I mean, like any group, any event, nag-aaway-away din kami minsan. Pero, we try to resolve it in a way that is uh, that builds up each other and builds and it's edifying to God, edifying to the
Naman.
Lord. Right.
Because
So,
it's not the self and the ego that's important. It's the relationships that are important. So, parang ganun. Yung relationships mo sa customers nyo, sa fans nyo, whoever.
So with that being said, hintayin nyo kami. We will be in an event soon. Wala pa namin alam yung specific details. So we will tell you when we're there. Meet us,
Yeah,
join
hopefully.
us in person, have fun, enjoy. And we might even create our own event soon. Pero hindi major event. Small event lang. Mini, sobrang mini event.
Mini festival.
Micro event. So,
Anyhow, it's been good talking to you guys. Thank you.
All right, and that's it. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and on YouTube, and you can also join us on our Discord channel. Just search for Level Up Game Nights. We will post the link in the comments, and that's it for tonight. Hey guys, bye bye.
Bye-bye.